Summit program. Over the last 2 days, we have had a curtain raiser event with several dignitaries, leaders from the industry, policymakers, as well as several industry bodies who came and shared their perspective on how to take India to the next level in terms of the ESDM industry. We strongly believe that the next decade is a decade for the accelerated growth of the ESDM and semiconductor industry in India. Over the last 2 days, we've heard several leaders talk about the semiconductor manufacturing industry, policymakers around what policies can be put in place for us to accelerate the development of the ESDM industry and take advantage of the growing demand overall globally. We've also looked at some of the challenges, the recent challenges, especially resulting from the pandemic, and also what are some of the possible solutions. We had several leaders like Sukhet who talked about what it takes for a company to start from basics to actually grow into a very large global company. So we had a taste of a lot of topics, starting from design, manufacturing of semiconductors, what are some of the supply chain opportunities and challenges, both for India and from a global perspective. And we've also looked at what are the possible policies that could actually help influence. And when I say policies, it's not just specific to India, but also global policies that could help foster the semiconductor and the ESDM industry. Over the next 2 days, we have several sessions around the summit. The theme, like I said earlier, is around how to accelerate the growth of the ESDM industry and the semiconductor industry in India. Some of the themes include design, semiconductor design, that is, what we can do to encourage and bring about innovation in the design space. We're also going to look at the startup space. What are some of the things around academia, industry, as well as from a policy perspective that can be done to actually promote startups and improve innovation in the ESDM space. We're also going to talk about semiconductor manufacturing supply chain, what we can do as a country and also globally to participate in the changing landscape, especially the geopolitical landscape. We have in our list of speakers close to about 80 speakers over the next 2 days who will participate in keynote talks. They will also talk in panels and also fireside discussions, basically discussing the various topics around design, manufacturing, startups, MSMEs. So I welcome you to all those who logged in from India and globally to the first day of the IESA Vision Summit, the 16th edition. And to start the day, we have a very distinguished speaker, Mr. Raghib Hussain, who is the President, Products and Technologies from Marvell Inc., USA. Let me tell you a few things about Raghib. Raghib is, like I said, the President of Products and Technologies, where he oversees the company's businesses by defining overall strategy. The interesting part about Raghib is that he has held various positions, both in large MNCs as well as in creating his own startups. Previous to his current role, he served as the Chief Strategy Officer and Executive Vice President of the company's networking and processors group. Raghib has also served as the Chief Operating Officer of Kadian, a company he co-founded. So it's a very interesting mix of both MNC experience as well as from the perspective of a startup that he can offer to the audience today. To give his background, Raghib earned a BS degree in computer systems from NED University in Karachi, Pakistan, and an MS in computer engineering from San Jose State Universities. And in addition to his business skills, he also holds more than 40 patents in the fields of networking and security. So, Mr. Raghib Hussain, welcome to the IESA Vision Summit. And we are very happy and it's a great pleasure to have you with us today. I would now request you to take the stage, please, Mr. Raghib.
Hi, everyone. My name is Raghib Hussain, and I'm President of Marvell Products and Technologies. Today, I'm going to talk about how disruption is caused in the infrastructure by the data economy and how Marvell is addressing its needs. If you look at the overall infrastructure, all data sources, today they are spread all over the map. And this overall infrastructure is expanding exponentially as we speak. For example, enterprise is becoming borderless enterprise. We have mobility and cloud applications all over, and as a result of that, the enterprise boundaries are becoming completely virtual. The cars are becoming data center on wheel, where ADAS has completely transformed cars architecture. 5G RAN is driving a lot more data and is becoming virtualized as well to address the flexible bandwidth needs. But the cloud is the center of data economy. It is the fastest growing part of the infrastructure, expanding at a much higher rate. Marvell has established itself to be the data infrastructure pure play semiconductor company. So let's take a look. What does it take to be leader data infrastructure? To be the leader in technology, in semiconductor especially, you need to be technology leader, in terms of process node and IPs and so on. And then on top of that, you also need to be a leader in the overall portfolio of product, as well as you have to have a business model to address the needs of various data infrastructure. Let's take a look at the technology. Marvell was a fast follower before, but 3 years ago, we made a concerted effort. We decided to make it a company priority to be the leader in process node technology. Because we knew if you want to be the leader in semiconductor, you need to be at the cutting edge of the process node. This is why we invested heavily in 5 nanometer process node. And today we have established leadership in a 5 nanometer process node. We are using this platform to enable products across all the segments of the market. And this has been the key driver of our technology growth and the product growth within Marvell. But it doesn't stop there. We are aggressively investing in the next process node, which is 3 nanometer. Now, 3 nanometer is not about only process node. It is about the platform. It is about how do you do the packaging. There can be a various kind of technology, the chiplets and combining various process node technology. So it is about the platform, and this is what we are working aggressively with our partner in TSMC. Now, in addition to process node technology, there is the IP, which is also important. So when we decided to be the leader in process node technology, we also decided to be the leader in the IP. And one of the critical IP is SerDes. Just to give you an idea, no matter how great is your silicon, if your SerDes is not good, which means the IOs are not good, it cannot deliver the actual value. And that is why we took the lead. We have established ourselves leader in 112 gig SerDes technology, and that is right now is the leading IP in the entire industry, validated by our customers. And that is what is helping us in winning several designs as well. But it does not stop there. We continue our investment in IP technology, and we are investing for 224 gigabits SerDes, which is in 5 nanometer technology, and Google expanded into the 3 nanometer technology. So as you see, we have established ourselves in a leader on advanced process node as well as IP, and we are fully committed to be the leader in this area. Next. If you look at the infrastructure, there are 5 building blocks or capabilities needed for any data infrastructure. It is storage, compute, the networking, security, as well as electronics. So if you want to be the leader, you cannot just have the leadership in the process node technology and IP. you need to have the expertise, in-depth knowledge in each one of these areas. Okay, and that is why a silicon provider can only achieve that knowledge through implementing those products. Today, as I said, we have market-leading products in each one of these critical areas of the infrastructure. So if you say why Marvell wins, you know why wins? We win because we have invested in the process and IP. But not only that, we have built the market-winning products. We have hardened it. We have field tested it. We have deployed it across many, many use cases. And this is how we gain market and technology expertise. So when we go to the customer and we show them our product portfolio, we are not only bringing those products, but we are also bringing the capabilities and the know-how, and that is what is valued by the customer. And this is why many times customers use our standard products, but at times they say, hey, we like your capabilities and product, but we really need is customized and optimized for our end workload, because in data infrastructure today, to get the best efficiencies, you need to have optimized products. And this is where our relationship with them has gone from the the customer vendor to more of a co-design. So that is actually puts Marvell in a unique position. Marvell is leading in each one of these categories. Next. One of the unique thing about Marvell is that we are a true global company, and we treat all of those offices as equal, in equal capabilities office. So, for example, in India, we have about 1,000 employees. We have about 512 employees in Bangalore. We have about 250 employees in Pune, and we have about 150 plus employees in Hyderabad. Now, just to give an idea that all of these offices have R&D, engineers working in every aspect of the product. It's not like, oh, it's only this product or this capability. We have design, we have architect, we have verification, we have software, we have firmware, we have QA. Every discipline of engineering is being done from India. And it's across all the products. It is for the processor, it is for the security, the storage, optical, switches and so on. So we have capability, all kind of capabilities, and we are working, side by side across our global team. And that puts Marvell in a unique position where we are a true global company. Next. So we have a long and proven history of success in the infrastructure. We started with enterprise, where we implemented, various kind of switches and PHYs and processor into various kind of enterprise appliances. We expanded from there into the 5G carrier, and then now we are further expanding our position into data infrastructure for cloud and as well as automotive and edge. In each one of these markets, we have provided innovative products that enhance their abilities and enable them to do new application and new revenue streams. So let's take a look at each one of these markets. So the first is enterprise. If you look at the enterprise, today Marvell has pretty established product portfolio as well as leading products in enterprise. It ranges from the storage, the switches, the PHYs, the processors, as well as security. We have our products shipped in tier one, multiple tier one enterprise OEM appliances, and we have market leading position in various areas. For example, if you pick any security, 9 out of top 10 security appliances today, they all use Marvell products. It can be a processor, it can be switches and PHYs. Similarly, various type of enterprise switches and routers use use Marvel products for various kind of application. We have one of the things that we have done for enterprise, we have implemented latest product portfolio based on 5 nanometer, which helps us to enable the latest feature-rich products like to help the security, to help the telemetry and all that, which is needed for borderless enterprise. And that is why we are gaining a lot of good position and good design in enterprise. We have established ourselves and we are growing with the 5 nanometer products. Next. So the next area is carrier. Next. If you look at overall our progress in 5G, on carrier, I should say, the RAN networks, we started from 3G. We started mainly from the transport side, but in 4G, we had transport and baseband processing. However, now we are addressing the needs of both distributed unit as well as radio unit for the 5G RAN infrastructure. And with the combination of N5, we have complete digital platform for 5G, which includes the transport processor, the baseband processor, massive MIMO radio processors, switches, optical interconnect for the front haul and the back haul, as well as digital front-end interface. Today, we are the only company that has the entire digital silicon platform for 5G, and that makes us a leader in the semiconductor for the 5G infrastructure. Next. And as I just said, that Marvell is the only company that has field-proven high-performance merchant baseband silicon solution. Now, the RAN architecture is going through its own transition, where their RAN is going overall in a virtual environment, and where the data center infrastructure is going to be used to make the overall RAN architecture flexible. Now, the flexibility and scalability of our technology solution allows us to adapt according to the needs of emerging 5G models. The same compute that established Marvell industry leader for baseband processing in traditional RAN is the foundation for the cloud optimized vRAN solution. As a result, Marvell is providing industry-leading solution for cloud-native vRAN, and we are winning. We have won 5 design already, and it is a complete solution. It's a card-level solution. So when a cloud provider look at our partner to provide vRAN solution, they are looking for a high-performance vRAN solution, with a team that has expertise of baseband processing and understanding of both not only the RAN architecture, but also cloud architecture. And of course, in addition to that, has a track record of delivering production software. And guess what? Marvell has it all. And that is why we are the obvious choice for our virtual RAN provider. For the cloud, the business model is different. These are complex card level solution, and as a result of that, we are providing complete solution. To be clear, in this market, we are selling the entire card, which means getting much higher ASPs as well as providing the complete solution. Next. Now, if you look at the 5G overall 5G market, it is ramping. I mean, if one way to judge it is how many smartphones are sold with the like a 5G capabilities. It's about 43%. And then you can also look at how many networks have been upgraded. So that is about 27%. But then another key aspect of this, what is the overall, the service availability in those networks, which is 11%. So while we can predict the direction of 5G growth based on how the end devices are being sold and how the networks are being upgraded. However, there is still a huge growth in front of us, right? Because the coverage is pretty small. So the majority of the 5G growth is in front of us, and we believe it is going to be a huge growth driver for Marvell. Next. So the next area is data center, cloud data center. So if you look at the data center, if it's a bunch of servers in the racks connected through the switches and multiple layers of switches, and then those data centers are connected through optical network. Now, the unique thing about Marvell is it has each one of these components. So first of all, for the compute, we have not only the ARM-based compute, DPUs, we have security processors, we have various kind of accelerators, as well as smart NICs and vRAN accelerator, as I just talked about. Then for the switches, we have we just acquired a company called Innovium, and with that combination, now we have a very strong switch solution all the way to 12 terabit, and of course we are working on 25 and 50 terabit. And then for the interconnect, we have optical interconnect through the Inphi merger. We have both PAM4 interconnect, which is within the data center, as well as we have a coherent interconnect, optical interconnect, which is between which is a data center interconnect in a long range. So all in all, if you look at Marvell is in a unique position to provide every component needed of the technology needed by the data center. And it's not only just that we have that technology capability, we have market leading position in each one of these areas. And that puts Marvell in a very unique position, because if somebody is focusing is only in one area of a specialty, that's all they see and that's all they know, right? For us, having ability to deliver each capabilities in the data center, it puts us in a unique position because it gives us complete visibility how these things will work together and how can we bring most efficient solution for the data center. And that is the unique vantage point for Marvell in a cloud data center. Next. So the next area is automotive and edge. Next. So if you look at overall car architecture, it used to be, point, very rigid, expensive. It looks like a very messy network. Now, if you look at how is the modern car are getting evolved, driven by the needs of the data growth within the car. Because as you know, the modern cars have ADAS, and ADAS requires a lot of camera, LiDAR, radar, and all those data needs to move around within the car, and it has to be moved in a secure manner and in a very time-sensitive manner. And that is why this new car architecture is coming up. And guess what? The best known established backbone of the networking is Ethernet standard. And that is why all the car OEMs are adapting this new architecture, which is based on Ethernet. So that is only about the network side. Now, of course, with that, you need a lot more to support ADAS. You need a lot more electronics. You need a lot more processors and storage and security. So all those components work together, and that's why electronics are the key differentiator of the future of the car. Next. Now, if you look at the overall adoption of automotive Ethernet, it is growing at a very, very fast pace. Today, it is about 400 million Ethernet ports, which are already being shipped in car. And with the adoption, the overall market is growing at a 39% CAGR, and it is going to be very high growth market. It's going to be $1 billion market. Now, Marvell has invested a lot in this area. We have been investing for the last several years, and that is why we have established ourselves a leader in Ethernet connectivity for car. We have products which is not only the switches, PHYs, and controllers. So we have full multi-gig secure Ethernet connectivity solution for a car, which is not only based on the architecture, which is our industry-proven Ethernet capabilities and technology, but also it is auto-grade. We have already shipping the part, which is meeting the one DPPM standard of auto-grade parts. Next. So if you look at, as I said, that the electronics is going to be more and more adapted in the car. The future of car technology is really in intelligence, because these car OEM recognize that the value that they will bring to the market in future, the services from the car will be dependent on the hardware and software platform. And one of the key platform of that is the overall central compute and the AI and computer vision. That is why each one of the car vendor wants to control it and own it. So just like if you look at the car OEM in the past, they all used to differentiate themselves with the engine. They all used to own engine. Similar way, they all want to own the compute for the autonomous drive. And that is why I believe that compute is the new engine for the car. Now Marvell has invested in auto-grade silicon for last several years. As I said, that we have established ourselves leader in Ethernet. In addition to that, we have established market-leading products in the compute, in ARM-based multi-core processor, in the security, in the storage. As a result of that, we are bringing the complete platform to the automotive industry as well. That is going to be the next growth area for Marvell. Next. So in summary, if you look at it, there are four areas of the what we call the pillars of the data infrastructure. Is a compute, storage, security, and networking. And networking includes the switches as well as interconnect, which is optical or copper interconnect. Marvell has established itself a leader in each one of these product areas. As I said earlier, it is not only that we have technology leadership or the market know-how, we have actually industry-leading products in each one of this area. That is why we believe Marvell is very well established to take the challenge of the disruption caused by the data infrastructure. And we are working with our partner to enable them to meet the needs of this exponentially growing infrastructure and implement it in a very efficient manner. And we are established in enterprise. We have already, market-leading position in 5G, and now we are expanding further in cloud and automotive. That is why we believe Marvell has a great growth trajectory, driven by in the near future, driven by 5G, followed by the cloud, and then in the long term, automotive, which is going to be another multi-billion-dollar market. So with that, I thank you to come for this talk today, and we are open for Q&A.
Thank you, Raghib, for that excellent talk. And there are so many questions right now that I will just try and share some questions which you could answer. Uh, they are actually focused. A couple of them are around technology. So early in the morning, the audience is already warming up to your talk. So it was a very excellent talk. And the first question I actually have, and this is from the audience, so I'm just trying to summarize. So it took a little bit of time for me to put that together. You talked about the fundamentals, around the basic building blocks around storage, compute, optics, etc. And you said, when you want to start a successful company, you just can't have any one piece. So, from a skills perspective, what are some of the key skills you think, people working at Marvel would have, and what would you suggest for a country like India, where we have plenty of engineers to build the basic building blocks to be successful, especially from an IP perspective and also from a silicon perspective?
I think it's the question is a little bit twofold. One is if you're looking at a smaller company trying to grow like a startup, that's a different story versus Marvel, which is already established company, and we are really going to grow to the next stage. The multi-billion-dollar company, a leader in a semiconductor conductor industry for the infrastructure. So that's a different stage. So the basic skill set, of course, are it's a semiconductor company, so the basic skill set are the architecture, the design, both on the digital side as well as analog side, and then the validation capabilities, and then the firmware and software. So fundamentals are same no matter which end market you go in. However, what we have done is this: we have developed the center of excellence, area of expertise around analog mixed signal design, around optical, around storage, around security, around compute, around networking. So those are more of a area of expertise. Those are not fundamental capabilities, but more of a application specific capabilities or market segment specific, product segment specific capabilities. Now, as I said, we do actually have each one of these segment in India. So in our offices in Bangalore, Hyderabad, and Pune, we have pretty much every aspect of these technologies, and that there are teams who are working hands in hand with teams around the globe, and that's a great opportunity for anybody in those cities to come join us and be part of this great growth that is going on in Marvel.
Thank you, Ravi. So a follow-up question to that. Like I said, we have plenty of questions here. From a startup perspective, because you bring this unique blend of having run a successful startup and also, now being part of a large MNC like Marvel, successful MNC, what are some of the suggestions you would give for some of the entrepreneurs who want to get into the silicon space? Because you clearly said, what your explanation for Marvel's capability versus what is fundamental are different from your previous answer. So, what are
That's
some
a
of the
very good
tips? What are some of the tips you would give, or because you bring this unique perspective, you're a technologist, you've seen the business, you're part of strategy. So, what are some takeaways that you would offer for some budding ESG startups?
Yeah, so when you are working on a startup, the thought process is completely different. This is where you need a focus, right? In my talk, I gave example. We acquired a company like Innovium. We acquired a company like Infi. Innovium was focused on switch for data center, just one market, one segment, one product, right? Similarly, Infi was focused on opto-electrical interconnect, the data center market, optical interconnect, right? So the focus is really important in a startup. The second thing in a startup, because you're coming from this angle where your relative market share is zero, you have nothing, right? And then there can be established player which is much more stronger out there. So you need to look into the disruption in the technology, or disruption in the business model, or disruption in the market itself, right? So for example, if you see that, hey, there are new standards coming out. For example, these days, CXL is a new system bus. There will be new product ideas around it, new model around it, because it's a new standard, new interface, right? So many things it allows new capabilities, which will allow it to do many new things. Similarly, all of us have witnessed last 2 years, I should say, the whole the need of AI was on its evolution, I should say, right? So then there are a lot of ideas, a lot of application. It's still a lot of application of AI is still in its infancy stage, right? So those are the areas you can say, hey, it's a new market, new technology, and we can focus on one segment of this and really do a differentiated product, and that's how it will give edge to that particular startup. Just to give you an idea, the for a big company to start a product and which can have 10, 20, 30, $50 million revenue is not that interesting. But imagine a startup has a $50 million revenue is a lot more value, right? So that is why the model which I call the VC model, where you bet on risky new areas and come up with the new product line which did not exist before, or a segment existed but differentiation is being brought. So those actually have a longer term return, but can be a good potential.
Yeah, it's a very good point that you brought around disruption, and I have a question around that. One of the newest trends from a disruption perspective is beyond technology in the business. The changing global landscape today, because there's a whole disruption in the supply chain. Do you think, or do you see opportunities for India to play a role or take advantage and basically harvest the opportunities that this new supply chain disruption is offering? Tag along question is, and I will tell you why I'm asking that question, because what has come up here is, what is the logic that a company like is choosing the latest tech nodes between TSMC, Samsung? So, is it just the disruption in technology, or is it disruption in the supply chain also? So, a couple of questions, but yeah.
So Sunil, you were breaking up while you were speaking, so I kind of got some portion. So I think you're asking about, is there a opportunity for India to play in the supply chain, especially in the packaging side where there's a lot of shortage. And then extension to that question was that, hey, is there any opportunity on the process node technology itself? What kind of things can be done, so on, right? So I would, these are two separate questions. Let me answer separately, right? So in terms of packaging capability and technologies, those are, those are, I think, is a matter of, think of it as a manufacturing, and there's definitely a potential. I mean, it will require a lot of investment upfront, but it's like a multi-year investment for like our 3 to 5 years. But because the world is going through this crisis of overall packaging and substrate, especially supply, that can be a good model. However, you will have to either work with some either university or somewhere where they have done enough research on the substrate and all that, and have that basic IP available, or partner with somebody existing in Japan and so on to be able to bring extend into India. So that's one of those two things. But that is definitely an area where I think India can play a role. Now, as far as process node technology itself is concerned, that is a much bigger undertaking. I mean, these are tens of billions of dollar investment, and not only just the initial investment, but overall the research and the technology needed to implement a fab it requires a long time. So where you see TSMC today, it's like a process of like 25, 30 years, right? So it doesn't happen overnight, right? So I would say if that is of interest, maybe the best way is to start partnering with somebody like TSMC and expanding and give maybe incentive for them to come in India and do something like that, invest in their co-invest with TSMC and do that. Maybe that will be a better route. But I think that is much more difficult area compared to just packaging.
Yeah, thanks for the second answer, because I think that is essentially the strategy that IESA was looking at, being able to basically partner with an existing player, and then once we are at that level,
that will give you a jump.
Absolutely, and the investment is also lesser, like you rightly pointed out.
Yep.
So I have time for one last question. And since you are someone from, gone from the subcontinent and, been successful in the Silicon Valley, I just wanted to understand from the perspective of academia, what is the role that you did mention academia earlier in your talk? What is the role that academia you think can play in strengthening the fundamentals at one part and also innovating? Both you said, right, from a startup perspective, looking at opportunities offered by disruptions and innovating to fulfill gaps there or cashing on the opportunities. The other
Yeah.
part,
So that is a very interesting question, and I have a very strong opinions on that, right? So I fundamentally I do not believe in very structured, education system. I believe the education system should be more hands-on, more applied, and the teaching method should be through experimentation and through research and through kind of creative thinking. So if you start teaching kids right from the initial stage instead of the memorizing the things. I mean, in today's age and world, you do not need to memorize much thing. You have everything accessible through Google and all that. I mean, when we will grow up, we will use those tools anyway. Why don't you allow the little kids to use the same tool? I mean, the era of memorization is over. Now the era should be more creative thinking and collaboration and kind of creativity. So that's the way it should be. So of course, what I'm asking is a complete disruption of the whole infrastructure, and I'm not sure how many teachers will agree with me. But in reality, if you really see the people who have succeeded, who have done better than a workforce in the industry, those are the folks who were outliers. They never followed the structured education system, right? Because everybody has a limited amount of time. If you are spending that time in memorizing some subject, you're just consuming yourself in something which may change 5 years later anyway. So who cares about memorizing that thing versus having an ability to learn the applied sciences, applied technology, applied and having a ability to do research and to think beyond what is available in front of you. I think that capability we should nurture and we should enable more. So I'm not saying we should not teach the fundamental ABCD or 1, 2, 3, 4. Of course, those kids have to learn, but as they go in a higher grade, the focus should be more about collaboration. In fact, that is another thing over in our education system. There's a concept of competition, so that makes you isolated. That doesn't make you team and collaboration. So those also, I think you can have a different mechanism of encouraging collaboration and teamwork versus everybody become individualistic because you want to get the first position or something like that, right? So I believe the education infrastructure academia can play a huge role in improving the innovation and improving as creative.
Sorry about that, Raghib. I'm hoping that you can hear me. That was a nice summary of the need for current disruption in education, needing to focus on skills and application oriented learning versus just rote learning and transmission. I'm afraid that's all the time we have for questions, but we have a ton more of questions for you, and both on a technology perspective and also from a Marvel standpoint, which we will send across to you. So thank you very much for coming here and sharing your thoughts. I'm sure the audience has benefited from your experience. So thank you very much, Raghib, and also thank your India team for helping facilitate this talk with you. Thank you so much.